So the one thing I want to be honest, I'm going to ask you, and it's okay, whatever your answer is. Are you willing to be recorded or to testify or anything of your experience, or no? If you're not, that's okay. But I have to ask at this point.
Yeah, I definitely will. I mean, if it's somebody out there that's doing something that's not right, I mean, like I said, I only know about the things that I felt when I was there and how I was treated. You know, I definitely understand what y'all was saying about somebody asking y'all for more money and all that. They definitely tried to do that to me. It's just that I said, no, I didn't have any more money. But as far as like my passport being taken or anything like that, I didn't experience that. But the treatment, the way I was treated, I just felt like I was constantly
Hold on, I just want to make sure.
Like, as an outsider, and it wasn't like a brotherly love type of feeling when I came in and saying I felt like I should have been welcomed with open arms, or like welcome home, you finally made it, instead of well, you here and everything else is working over here for us, and we're gonna keep you out here and not really let you in.
So, what I just want to be clear. So, I don't know. Again, I know you have your family, and there's a couple of people that reached out to us and called us on the internet. So, I want to know, first of all, I don't know if you're willing, if you have your own thing, if you're willing to just give your honest, not from us, your honest experience at some later date. I don't know if what you're willing to share or what your degree of support is. If it's just this call, I don't know if you're willing to testify your honest. Without us, your honest experience, if you're willing to have us record this call. And I'm just being honest with you, because we've had several people since we left. We've had no support, so it's making it look like we're some angry black women.
Like, ever since I went to Belize, I had a good experience with the country. It's just I didn't really like what was going on, you know, and some of the things that I witnessed and felt while I was in Kwatamani's village. So I never really had any desires to go back there, but that didn't stop me from wanting to still see, you know, more about the country of Belize and what was actually going on there. Then I came across
page
one day.
Hold on. One question I want to ask you first of all. So, you've seen the videos that are out on that page, the different videos that we did?
Yeah, I seen one of them. The one, I think, where y'all were talking, and then I think her name is Kofet, when she came and asked y'all to, I don't know if she was asking y'all to leave or to come back or something. That's the video.
When I came there with my son, my sister, supported them with money, barrels, came for a non-existent healing program. So it's almost like we have no witnesses, and not until towards the end of the process that we like, oh, now we see what's going on. So a couple of people called us, and at some point we really had to have, and still now are very concerned about our safety. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I'm just being very honest and real, and so you could tell me like what you're willing to do or to share, or what way you can be supportive, if anything, because we're not interested in being a martyr or being online for anybody's entertainment, because this is very serious. This is people's minds and stuff he's playing with. You know?
Right.
So I just want to be upfront and honest.
Yeah, I don't have no problem being recorded or however you choose to use it, you know, to spread the word. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. I just like to be fully transparent and honest, and so I don't want to cut you, so you could just share your experience.
Oh yeah. So we talking about that, or are we talking about the rest of my experience?
Yeah, I want to hear your.
Time, or are you asking me more about?
I want to hear your experience.
Now?
I want to hear your experience from then when you were there, because we weren't really allowed to communicate with each other.
Right. Yeah, that was one thing. So yeah, it was always separation. They didn't want people to mingle, and I just always felt that the people who I did end up staying with, I don't really remember everybody's name. But that it was levels. Like, you had to be on a certain level to talk to certain people. Like, I never, I was promised when I came down there that I would be able to have a conversation with Kwatamani himself. I never got that. I'm trying to think what else. And besides that, it was basically like just sit around and do nothing. Basically eat, come to the little meeting where we would all eat at in that hut. The hut. And then after that, I mean, a lot of time I just slept because I didn't know what to do. So I couldn't wait. When they told me that y'all was leaving to go to the airport, I'm like, well, I could just leave early too, because ain't no sense in y'all having to drive back again. So I was ready to get out of there.
Wow. You know what's so interesting? I'm usually like, okay, if I came to the place, I wanted to give the process for me 100%. Just give it 100% to see whatever the process was. I've read all his books, the majority, if not almost all his books, 3 times. I was already eating the food for some years before I came there. My son was eating the food. My sister was eating the food. Maybe she had like some fry pats here or there. But we were already doing certain things before we came there. And, my sister has a different kind of personality. So she's fun and loud and all of that stuff. So I'm all following the rules. And Sonia's like, nah, I'm talking to Brother Will. Sure. I don't know if you remember, how she is. She's just really fun.
Me and her, I don't think she was feeling it in the beginning because me and her talking and she was like, so you, like, you feel like you can just do your own thing? I'm like, yeah, like, I don't think you always got to link up with somebody. Like, I mean, it's good if you got people like that, but everybody ain't always on the up and up. But I mean, even though I, like I said, I felt a certain way, I would have never had expected to hear some of the things that y'all was saying on the video.
Well, if we had not been there as long, there's no way we would have seen it. Now, I had come and visit for some days, a little bit longer, because I was just checking out what kind of moves I wanted to make at this next portion of my life. I'm investigating other ways to live, who's doing other things around the country, who's consuming food, who wants to build community. So I came there in search of, even if it didn't work out, but I was like, okay, they meet so many criteria. The food, okay, they got community. They're on the same page with the food. They're homeschooling. They're having babies. So somebody from the States, that's like, it's a great resume. You know what I'm saying? And a big concern for me was my son. You know what I'm saying? Him coming out of that environment. So I came on a mission to see, but all the different things and nuance you saw that were weird, you don't get you can sense things are off, but you don't have a full comprehension of everything. There's no way, and they make sure that you don't, because just the very fact that we couldn't sit down and speak to each other, and you're given all these odd reasons, and none of your questions, my experience, none of your questions are answered directly. None. Like, for example, he controlled the context, everything from your greeting of good morning. Now, I don't have a problem. So I'm like, okay, I'm in somebody else's house, so I'm going to respect the protocol of the house. But I'm not someone to follow somebody blindly. You know what I'm saying? I'm not 20 or 25. And I'm quite comfortable with my age and my stage and my development. You couldn't pay me to be in my 20s again, because wisdom is hard earned. You know what I'm saying? So let's say something as simple as good morning. I'm like, okay, from my understanding, MOURNING is if you're in mourning, but morning refers to a certain meridian where the sun is at a certain point in the sky. So I'm like, okay, I'm very well aware that you can have different contexts and different meanings for words, but after a while it appeared that he was controlling the context of all the meanings. And even if you read the books, you're constantly told, if you have questions, go read the book. Go read the book. Go read the book. So I'm thinking, okay, I'll read the book. Did I miss something? I read it 3 times. And at one time he said, did you even read the book? And I'm thinking, like, I read all your books 3 times. Pay for the full price. You know what I'm saying? But it was a lot of information withheld. So when I stayed longer, and I really wanted to get my son out of New York. That was my first concern. Let me get him out. So I had sent him down for a rites of passage. And to any of us, you got nature. My son was interested in fruit trees. I was into like supporting him with his creating his own education, and as a black man, not going into any kind of debt. So he was doing urban farming and natural carpentry. We found all kind of stuff in the States. So when he went down there, I said, okay, here's a black man. He's a father. He's present. They found some other system of economics where they're now working a 9 to 5 and putting all their resources and their time and energy within. Okay, they're growing their own food, they're eating the food. I'm like, that's great. But I also said, let me come down there and let me check it out on my own.
Anything I would say was always something against everything. It was either wrong or, so I didn't even communicate with him anymore.
Yeah, well, I found his attitude was that, eventually I kept giving things a pass. Like, maybe I don't understand things. So my thing was like, let me just stay open. But in general, my intuition was he had like a attitude. He had like a nasty attitude. And when I gave things a pass, but late, I was like, after a while, I'm like, nah, you treating people with a disgusting, nasty attitude. It's one thing if we don't understand, but a compassion, if we're coming into a new space and somebody has questions, you should answer their questions. You know what I'm saying? If we're coming from the death consumption culture and out there, and if it's a new experience, it's not like this is some African tribe out in the bush. Most of these folks come from the States. You know what I'm saying? And they speak English. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't fluent really in no other language. Maybe the Queen Mother Kwahima, who you're talking about, the dark-skinned African sister, who's his main mate, and then the one that is his feminine speaking voice, like his main assistant, is she goes by Kwananamu. But she's also she used to go by Priestess Gail, so she wears glasses. So
okay, yeah, I remember her.
So she's considered the Oshami, a feminine speaking voice. So usually you would have to go through her. Eventually, it told us not to speak to him. We had to speak to her, and she relays all the messages. So later, the comprehension later was all control. He asked me a question. Yeah. So So basically, let me let you finish. But some of the maybe I know some of the names because I was there and I was around a bit, maybe for longer, maybe some more years.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think I was only there. I think I was there 6 days.
Why is he coming?
We were there for like a year and a half, more than a year and a half.
Right, because I know it's somebody else that I know who ended up going down there, and they didn't even like. I knew a little bit that they was going, but I didn't know that like they was gonna go that soon. Because they was like, well, what is it like? I'm like, well, if you really want to go experience, go experience. I mean, I'm not gonna tell you not to, but go experience for yourself, and then we'll have a conversation once you get back.
Who's the person?
Floyd. His name.
That's your cousin.
Yep. Yeah, he went down there.
I was there.
Yeah. Because and then that's what he was like, he ended up leaving early. He said all they wanted to do was like go search around and look for places to play basketball, and yeah, he didn't have a good experience either. But I haven't even asked him, has he seen the videos yet about y'all videos or anything like that. But
y'all still keep in contact? Do you still keep in contact?
Yeah, we still in contact. I just haven't had the chance to talk to him about it.
Okay.
Because I knew it was going to be a long conversation just based on my experience and his experience and what we shared with each other once he got back. Because like I said, I think I went a year before he even went, or a couple months, at least 6 months before he went.
So the main person that you were communicating with was Salim, who now goes by Kamu, and his mate is Kofet. So Joseph Robinson's name, a.k.a. High Priest Kwatamani. The other name he goes by is Kofi Kwatamani, but Kofet, Kofitte Kwatamani, is his oldest daughter.
Can I say?
So sometimes people don't realize who's who or the different names or who's speaking. You know what I'm saying? So it's easy because you don't know anybody to get things misconstrued and not know who's speaking.
Hey, how you doing, Miss Sandy? How you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing? I just want to say, because we ain't heard from you in like a minute. You know, you look good though. You look real good.
Right.
We ain't heard from you in a minute.
Thank you.
You look great.
I can't hear you.
I said you look great, brother. You know I got love for you. You know me and you, we were connecting. I'm just wondering, I ain't hear from you in a minute. How come you call? How come you reaching out now? I'm just curious. Just out of curiosity, because we were thinking about you and we ain't heard from you. So I'm kind of thinking, how come now?
Is he still there? Yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah. You heard me?
No, I didn't hear what you said.
I said.
We broke up in the middle of the conversation.
I said, first of all, I just want to say, brother, you look great. You look good.
Oh, thank you.
You look amazing.
Y'all look good too.
You look good. But I was like saying, I mean, we were thinking about, sometimes we would ask about whatever happened to that brother. And all of a sudden, but I'm just saying, like, how come you reaching out now? I'm just curious. Like, what propelled you?
Because I saw y'all video, and then I was more inspired by the fact that even though everything that happened to y'all, that y'all still stayed down there, and that y'all still in Belize. And like I said, I never had an ill feeling towards the country of Belize. I just knew that I didn't want to go back there. I know that there's a lot of people that that relocate to Belize, and Belize has a lot of good things. When I look at, I've been to a lot of different countries. I've been to Jamaica, I've been to Costa Rica, to Panama. And out of all the countries that I've been to, Belize is still untapped, and it still has a lot of potential there. And it's still, it's not as expensive. Like, Costa Rica is great, but the cost of living down there, you can't afford it.
Wow.
I mean, if you're going to live in Costa Rica, you can stay in the States and find somewhere in Florida, because the prices is about the same.
Wow.
So when I saw that y'all was still there, I reached out. And and was hoping that y'all would respond back and that y'all would remember who I was. Like I said, I ain't really on social media a lot, so that's part of the reason why like I didn't have a way of reaching y'all. And so when I looked on y'all page and saw that y'all was still down there, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember them. And I don't even know how I end up going, because it was your page that I think I end up going on at first, and then it had a link to the video. So I saw the face, like I remember her. And so yeah, I just started searching, and then I came across that video. I'm like, oh man, like I can't believe that happened.
Well, it was like a long, it's a long story. Like, I mean, it actually is very, it's sad, but it is what it is. It's like, sad. It's definitely like some hard-earned wisdom, some hard-earned lessons.
Yeah.
But one thing I would say is I think one of the reasons that it goes on that way, it continues, is because people don't have direct communications with each other. And I was like, well, all these people that popped up and disappeared, I'm like, where are they? We saw numerous people pop up, and the next day they were just gone. And we were given all kinds of stories that even got even a little fantastical about how each of the mates came to be there, including the youngest mate that's there, that's Belizean now. He could be her grandfather. Now, let me say, I don't have a problem with community. I didn't have a problem with growing food. I didn't have a problem necessarily if he had 5 mates, if they were healthy and happy. But what became a big problem was the manipulation, the not asking direct questions, the lack of transparency when it came to money and funds, which in particular I really had a problem with, because I came literally sharing my resources, because I was like, okay, this could be a potential community I could be a part of, and it looks like they're doing something that's good. You know, if you have children, you know, also for me, I'm thinking about who do I want to spend the rest of my life with. So I was open. But when I asked questions, it seemed like the more questions I asked, the more it became a problem. You know what I'm saying? And I'm thinking, like, no offense, but I'm not in my 20s. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't hard up for no mate. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't hard up to have a baby. You know what I'm saying? If anything, my primary concern was my son being in a safe space to grow and develop as a young man. You know, and I felt this was a father figure. That's number one. And then number two, my sister had fibroids, which I had researched, and the only thing we weren't doing that I could think of was sleeping, because we were working all kinds of hours in the States and not getting some sunshine and some sleep. So I figured, okay, we could try it out. If we don't like it, we had enough savings so we could buy land. You know what I'm saying? Our budget, and I'm very responsible. We didn't ask for no handouts. We came paying our own way. But it was just very slick the way that he was doing stuff. And like, you don't even want to really, I actually felt quite heartbroken because I did not want to believe that this person, you know, for what it's worth, this black man, this elder with locks, eating raw living foods, there's like no way that he could be, you know, shady like that. But it is what it is. And then to even think, even though I have compassion for women and children, which is what's used against us as women, right? Because we're always going to be thinking about protecting the women and children. But then I realized that's the very thing that he's using like a bulletproof vest, that he hides behind the women and children. If you have a whole bunch of intelligent women with experience and money and degrees, then if we're all sitting there, it gives him credibility. You understand? I think the sisters is one of the main things that give him credibility while he's there. So all the unspoken, everybody has questions, but nobody's speaking up. And you could feel the tension quite often that was in the air. But nobody would speak up. And I also felt that he was holding the cards and had information or was playing. I don't know if you know what auditing is, what the process of auditing is that they use in Scientology. Basically, it's like when you think you're speaking to a father figure that has your back, but later on you find basically he's listening to all of your information so that he can either play on your insecurities or use that information against you. Now, the interesting thing is I could care less if you tell anything, because I'll tell you first if you want to know anything about my history. There's not that much to tell. So I don't care. You know, he made a video with letters and communications we had, because we had sessions. So I was like, why go to a white therapist? You know, why don't I go to this man? And I also wanted to spend my money with him and invest, which I don't think I'm stupid. I thought it was just a natural thing. I wanted to invest here, so that doesn't make me stupid. But what makes it a scam is, although we're not coming from the same mother, it's technically like we had 2 different apartments, but it's like we've been in each other's lives for going on, I don't know, 15 years or something like that. So this is like a household. I brought her there and I brought my son. You know what I'm saying? Out of trust. But when I got there and I saw certain things with behaviors were not adding up. I did not like the way eventually after a while I saw him speaking to his mates. When I asked questions about how they resolve conflicts, different things they would do with money, he would constantly say, it's going to be tight back here, it's going to be tight back. And I'm like, how can it be tight? I just gave you a couple $1,000. And I know the cost of food because I deal with food. I've been in the food business for years as a chef. So over here, bananas don't hardly cost anything. You know what I'm saying? So
right, especially there.
We just came from the market. 24 or 25 bananas was like $1.
Right.
US. You know what I'm saying? So it was just a lack of transparency. And then the women, I also get that once they have children, they're deeply invested emotionally in there. So they're kind of like trapped. And a lot of them, they all their resources are gone. And once he has you isolated from your family and you've cut off from your family, now you're in a certain kind of position. So what I do remember about you can correct me if not, but I'm pretty observant. I observed that you were contemplating, looking at a place to move or to live. And from what I remember, you said that I'm going to work things out with my daughter, my mate. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you were trying to figure certain things out, but you was like, my children, you had a decent business with your living foods already. And you said, I'm going to work things out with my mate. I could be, but that's what I remember in my will file. And you were like pretty upbeat and like, you were mature. It wasn't like you was coming in sweating, rah-rah with the consciousness, black power. You know what I'm saying? You were just real laid back, which I think comes with maturity. You know what I'm saying? You wasn't trying to push living foods down nobody's throat.
I was just trying to absorb and see what was actually going on. Because, the reason why they said they invited me down there is because I had previous experience with a Reese. I had worked with a Reese in the past. So that was the reason why they said that, because they said they usually don't let anybody just come there, but because my connection with him, that was the reason that they let me come there.
So you didn't inquire with them, they invited you.
Yeah, well, I first reached out to them and was asking them questions about I think I saw the first video. I saw a video on YouTube. And then after I saw the video, I don't remember how, but some kind of way I found out, I think I probably found my way to their webpage. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up emailing them and asking them questions. But then they told me that they were having a festival or a celebration, and that if I wanted to, that I can be invited, and it was going to be very limited. But I did tell them, they did ask me questions. So that's how they found out about me knowing a Reese and about my background before I even came, because they did ask me a lot of questions before they actually put out the invitation for me to come there.
Right. So again, that's ordinance. Right. So when I say ordinance, the way they ask you questions, later on you figure out you're not able to ask them the same questions, and he picks and chooses. So what questions, and then it's very hard to cross-reference him. Unless you know what I'm saying? Because even if you read his green book, in the beginning, many people don't know if they're blood brothers or not. You know what I'm saying? Or if they're just contemporary.
They're not blood brothers.
Yeah. Right. But I'm saying somebody else might not know. So it's like these new folks coming up. It's like with a lot of these other cult folks that's popular, that's here and also in the States. Somebody that's new that's coming on the scene doesn't have a frame of reference, nor do they have a full comprehension of what they're dealing with. You can have the best intentions, but people don't understand what they're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm thinking the whole United States of America is a cult. Religion is a cult. You know what I'm saying? So, but I wouldn't think, I'm not stupid. I wouldn't think that I would be, in a cult, but it is what it is, and once I put two and two together, I'm the type of person, and I had meetings, I was like, I had questions, I asked my questions clear and direct, because he has a tendency to be very rhetorical and use, just not be clear or direct.
Right.
Yeah, so you had mentioned that you saw the way my son was treated. What did you observe?
It was like a greater than, less than. Because it's like if you wasn't interested or doing exactly what they were doing, then you wasn't accepted. It was like, I don't know, like I said, I don't know who were actually his children, because like I said, I wasn't there long enough to get the full scope of things, but it was definitely like he wasn't treated equally to everybody else. And I know that he had been down there for a while once I got there, so I would think that they would be like brothers. That they would be on common, or have some common ground. Like, I don't think that if you have this village that's supposed to be loving and supplying all these needs that we're supposedly not supposed to be getting, living in the environment that I currently live in, that it should be like, you should be able to feel that the moment you arrive. To know that you was getting something that you was missing before. And I never felt that. Like I said, I couldn't wait to get on the plane. I stayed at the airport once I got back to the States because my flight, I had a layover in Houston. I stayed in Houston overnight at the airport because I didn't want to stay there another night.
Wow.
And like I said, everything was like complete isolation. And I know, in the book that I read that they said, you have to be broken down to be built back up. But I don't think that's the way you break somebody down. That can for certain people, that can destroy somebody, and you might not ever recuperate from that. It can be very damaging. Luckily, when I got home, I had people to embrace me, and but if somebody doesn't have anything to come home to, maybe they stay in that and think that that's the best that it can be.
Wow, it's really something to hear this feedback from a male, because it's like we know people have come and gone. It's like, why does nobody speak up? But after a while, you're like, I was like, if you're not broken down, it's a breaking process. You know what I'm saying? Until they have your complete loyalty, then you're not really allowed to speak. It was just, you could feel the tension. The stuff is not being said, or your language is being controlled. And let me ask you, did you have any sessions with him?
No, I was supposed to, but at the end of the day, I wasn't mad that I did, because maybe, I guess they would say that I didn't stay to get my session since I left a day early, but I was just happy to be home, so I didn't complain about anything or have a bad thing to say, because I was just happy the fact that I was able to go there and to make it back, especially with the fact that the whole time I was there, I had no communication with anybody outside of there. They didn't charge my phone for me until I was leaving. So my phone was dead the whole time. They didn't allow me to take, I didn't want to take pictures of them or anything like that, but just the environment. Everywhere I went, I've took pictures of the scenery, the water, the trees, the plants. I wasn't allowed to do any of that, So, like I said, I just felt very shut in. Maybe I guess to someone who's been in prison, I haven't, but that's what it seemed like. Except for the fact that I was able to go walk down and go to dinner every day.
But that was it.
That was the only thing that we were allowed to do. It just wasn't any movement. So like I said, a lot of times, depression set in, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna sleep, and look forward to the day that I leave, because it was literally nothing to do. It's not like they brought me in and was like, well, let's go do this, and I would have expected with them being there for as long as they have, that they have to do something for entertainment.
Yeah.
We can talk about being in America and everything being bad and all that, but it has to be something that they do to entertain themselves, to interact with each other, just conversation. Just being able to. I would have been impressed, or I would have been satisfied with just sitting around having an open dialogue just about their experience of being there. But I didn't even get that. It was always, I think you said the brother named Camus.
Yeah. Well, now he used to go by Celine back then. Once he got mated with Joseph Robinson, a.k.a. High Priest Kwatamani's daughter, they gave him the name Camus. And, they changed everybody's name in there. As a matter of fact, before I left, they changed my son's name. And they said something akin to my son's name meant Satan or something crazy like that to self. Yeah. So, Kepra. Do you know what Kepra means?
Nah, I'm not sure what it means, but I know another brother, Kepra, in D.C.
Kepra, with the raw foods.
I don't think.
Listen, well, I know it. I know. Yeah, I said Kepra. It has a meaning. It's the dung beetle. It's the scarab. And so my thing was, I'm very clear on what the name means, because I was very conscious in choosing the name of my son. But just different things. You don't know how to raise a black man. I'm thinking, okay, I'm not a black male, but I can raise a decent human being. And it was just these different things that he's just started getting real. It started getting amped up in terms of the things that he was saying out of his mouth, To the point, it came to one point, you started to sound like a pimp. And I told them so. I said, you sound like a pimp. No women, the women were sitting around, nobody flinched and nobody said nothing when I told them that. Sitting right in front of his face. Right in front of his face. And it felt like, I'm going to be real with you, at some point, like we were just cash cows. Like, you know, based on our age, like, you know, it was just like, we were just cash cows. And mind you, we came wanting to contribute. We paid our own way. But it would just, it was foul. So what was so heartbreaking to me was like that women that have been through that process. I mean, I can say, okay, they're brainwashed or they're conditioned, they have children there, they have a vested interest, but still, it just was very painful because we started to put our trust in the women. And at one point, he was told, well, you know, first we was supposed to speak to his old shami. Then I guess I was asking too many questions. She wasn't speaking. He didn't allow us to speak to her anymore. Now he had Kwahima, the African one, his longest standing mate, who he's been with since she was like a young girl, teenager, in Africa.
I don't think. How does she look?
She's very dark skinned. That's the one that came up to us on the video. She's short. She's very dark skinned, very chocolate, and she has beads, and she has a very stern expression quite often. But that's his queen mother. She's been with him the longest.
So she was there when I was there?
Yeah, she was. She's always there. Mm-hmm. But you usually see him with.
I think that the ones that all the wives that I remember, you said it's 5, right?
Well, now it's 5. I don't. Yeah, the other young one I think was there, but how many was it?
I think I remember 4, but they were all more light complected.
Well, the youngest one
had glasses.
Mm-hmm.
And then one was probably younger than me. I'm a guess. If I was guessing, I would say she's younger than me, and I think she might have had a Caribbean accent. No,
so you were there. There was 5. There were 5 mates. I don't know if she had gone through the ritual to become his mate, but there were 5. The first one, who he calls, is the Queen Mother or Quan. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
So the first one, so that you can recognize who's who, was Kwahima, the Queen Mother. Her legal name is Muna Robinson. So she's been with him the longest. That's there. She's short, dark skin, and then the one that you usually see that's with him in the sessions is Gail Wells, or she goes by Kwamasu. So that's considered his Oshami, his feminine speaking voice. Okay. Then she's like a brown skin with glasses. And then there's
is that the one who was originally from Oakland?
I don't think she was from Oakland. Why is my mind drawing a blank? But she's not from Oakland. I think she was Florida. I can't remember where she's from. But no, I think maybe I can't remember anybody from Oakland.
Okay.
But it could be. I just can't remember right now. And then the other is 2 other sisters that were light skinned. Well, 3 now. Then there was Kwanana. She used to be a physical therapist and a dancer. And she went to NYU. So she has a couple of children there. And then there's the lawyer, another one with glasses, very light skinned with very long hair. Her name was Beach.
Right. Is that the one who had the youngest, who had the baby and she didn't think she was going to be able to have children?
I don't know. I don't remember the story like that, but she hadn't had children.
Yeah, until she came into the village.
I don't remember that being a story. She hadn't had children. Maybe she didn't want children at some point. Okay. Yeah, so she was a lawyer. She was a lawyer. But
is that the one who didn't want to give up her degree?
Yes.
Her plaque or something?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I remember her.
So that's Kwamasu. Her name is Beatrice Belker. And then the other light skinned one, she's kind of like very tall, more like a strong constitution. That's Renee That's Renee Murray. She goes by Kwanana. And the youngest one is Belizean. That's Caribbean. The youngest one, she could be his granddaughter. She goes by Kwanana. I think her name used to be Amanique. So she came in there, but then eventually she became mated to him. So again, I didn't have a problem with him having how many mates he wanted. But then when you started hearing stories he was telling us, they did not add up. They did not add up at all. Because for his age and all the stuff with mating, you would think he was trying to get a mate for one of his sons rather than taking that young sister. You know what I'm saying? Right. Just stuff didn't add up.
I have a quick question. When you said they were trying to hit you up for money, how much money did they charge you to come into the space when you first came?
how much money they originally charged me when I first came.
Yeah.
I want to say it was no more than $600.
Oh, that's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
$600.
I can't remember the exact amount,
$600?
but I know it had doubled by the time my cousin went.
What?
'Cause he was like, how? Yeah, it had doubled by the time he went. But I think originally he was supposed to stay longer than I did, and he paid for like some food classes too that he said he never got.
He never got it?
Nah, so I didn't do any of the food class or anything like that. I was just coming basically for the observation side of it to see if it was a place that I would want to come and and be. So but once I got there, they tried to charge me a transportation fee.
Oh.
For picking me up and dropping me off, but they was like 3 hours late picking me up from the airport. I was like, Dad, did I pay my money to something that I ain't like? I thought I had got scammed at that point because they didn't pick me up from the airport on
3
time.
hours? Wow.
And then once I got picked up from the airport, I'm trying to think. Yeah, they didn't. I don't think they asked me for any more money again until I was. Well, that's the reason. That was none of the reason why I was like, I'll just leave with them. So I don't get charged a transportation fee to take me back. Like, nah, I'm just gonna leave with them early. I know they're going to the same airport that I'm going to, and I'll just wait. I'll just wait there.
So check this out. We were in the car once, right? And he was talking about your cousin some money, like $1 million. He said, "Wow."
When you say we, he might not know who the we is.
Oh, we were sitting in the car and
Which is the we?
Me and you were sitting in the car.
Okay, so
and then Kwatamani, Oshami, the Gail, was reading him about your cousin. Said that he ran into some money. Something about he made a T-shirt or something like that, and he ran into some money with basketball.
Was in a T-shirt business, from what I understand, right? And there was a popular athlete, well-known athlete that wore his shirt. So what he said was, "Brotherhood, y'all hear that, Brotherhood? He's rolling in dough." Now, from what we assessed, I didn't feel like he really treated Brother environment. This is what I got from where we sat. He's fast and you doing your personal stuff right there. Yeah. So he had cake. I thought this was so immature and just ridiculous. Stupid. So he said, so they was having an Earth Day cake. Whatever. Okay, so he was like, so next time, when you come here, you maybe something like either you'll consult first before you but you want to do a fast, right? It was
real petty. It was like petty, he was like digging him. So my question is, did he really, because that day, did he really get like that money? Because what I'm thinking is that he said Joseph Robinson Kwatamani was going to hit him up for some more money that day in the car because he emailed him to touch bases with him. So
yeah, I think he did get charged some fees leaving out, and because I think he was supposed to stay a month.
No. He's not understanding you. Wait, hold on. I think she's not understanding you. What Masani is asking you, right? Joseph Robinson, whatever he's reading from online, it appeared to him that it came into some money. Now, from what I was looking, it didn't look like treated that great to me. But we were all kept separate. So I thought it was interesting. Whenever he came in from the outside, he would bring whatever the news is to everybody in the so-called Royal Hall. And he said, "Bro, came into some money, y'all. Y'all hear that?" Because he's always like, people from out there, they need to take their money and they need to put it in here. So it's not like he was going to hit brother ask for some money to donate to the sanctuary or whatever his works, his basketball court or his whatever, to be a part of a brotherhood or a community or basketball or get a mate there. Maybe he's counting on that to put a donation in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but nah, he didn't give him any money.
Good.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think if like they study your Facebook page, if you have one, and see how you interact and what you do, and then they know exactly how much money to get. At the time when I came, I didn't have a Facebook page, so I kind of I guess I didn't have anything that attracted them as far or that they felt that they would be able to get more money out of me. So maybe that was the reason why. Like I said, the only reason they said that they allowed me to come there was because of my relationship with Aris and because I had spent time with him in the past.
Wow.
So now, when we left, my son was still in there. So for a long time, we didn't say anything because my main concern is my son's safety. And by the time we left, it was almost like I didn't know who my son was. You know what I'm saying? And I watched him pit people against each other. So my son only left recently, like in the last, maybe now it's going on 2 months.
So he just left.
Yeah, so he was in there almost like for 3 years. Like,
So how long did he leave after y'all left?
maybe a couple of months. I mean, like, I was like, yo, I was telling son, I was like, yo, he's got my son as collateral. This man, I said, he's gonna play dirty. I think he's very vindictive, and he's a master con artist. He's a master con artist. So he stayed there for some months after we left. And I was like, yo, I'm not going nowhere. Even though it was real stressful, I was like, yo, periodic, I'm just gonna call and I'm gonna let them know I'm still here. I ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Even if my son was sounding like, he didn't know me, I know from being in there, your calls, everything is monitored. You know what I'm saying? You're not allowed to speak free, and they cut, the Belizeans that are here, their parents are still here, and their parents work in politics, military, and have certain jobs here. So their parents can get to them. Even though they're isolated back there, they were still able to have cell phones and other stuff like that. My son didn't have no phone. He came with an iPod. Then it was like, they couldn't find the iPod that he came with. You know what I'm saying? They said they couldn't find it. I asked them several times. I mean, even speaking to you now, I was like, I don't know if they still have it, but they had all kind of excuses for what happened to his iPod. You know what I'm saying? So he had no way of really communicating. And so a lot of times, then they would tell him if he wants to use the phone, he has to do it, or if he wants to come out to get a signal. And mind you, a couple of years ago, I gave them about $3,000, if not mistaken, for internet, to donate to give to their community so that they can have internet. You know what I'm saying? That's how I was rolling. And I'm not rich. This is a sister that's a personal trainer that worked for everything I got. You know what I'm saying? So that's why
I understand. Yeah,
I work for everything.
And I know you did a lot
fundraisers.
as far as giving the people the information when you went back to Brooklyn, because I would see you on videos talking about the Green Book.
Listen, all my clients had the Green Book. They wasn't interested in no Green Book. They bought the Green Book because of me. I actually took a lot of my energy and I siphoned it off to this. I'll be very honest with you. I did. You know what I'm saying? It just taught me such. It's just such a lesson that you don't know people. So it's made me really. I mean, the lessons have not stopped coming. Like, it's like some really harsh lessons. You don't know people because they eat some raw foods and they got some locks and some other stuff. I would have never anticipated the amount of conning and scamming and folks that's flying underneath the radar over here in Belize. Never.
Can I ask
never.
You a question?
Never.
So now that you are where you are, do you plan on coming to Belize?
I would love to. Yeah, but I'm trying to save my money to where I can have enough money to buy property. Once I get there, I reached out to a couple people, but like nobody ever get like about it. So that's what I'm trying to do, trying to figure out. I just don't want to, put all my money out there and then lose everything and not have nothing. Because I know it's a lot of scams going on with people buying property in Belize and not actually
don't own it.
They don't even own the property.
At the end of the day, owning the property.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
They don't
correct.
own it.
They don't actually own the property. So we've had a chance to learn some stuff. I'll be quite honest, we're not so open to speaking to people because we have to wonder what people's intentions are when they call. And so a couple people had called and I was like, yo, we all was like on high alert, and we still ain't totally off a high alert because I don't trust him. And when I came out, I did a lot of research on cults and how they work. Like, I didn't know that Jim Jones used basketball to draw a lot of people in. If you look on that Raw Food Community Land Scam, that page, it's lots of research for people to go through. So just when I sat and I did research on cults, the patterns were like 100% spot on in terms of the process of breaking people. 100% spot on with the different ways that we were dealt with. But just to take. Well, we've done some research. But I tell you, it's like. I can say it's no joke. I can't say you're doing the right thing in terms of taking your time and doing your research. Some research you may have to really do on the ground because people paint all kind of pictures online, and that's just straight up. Videos are edited. People know what things to do to push certain triggers and get you fantasized. When at the same time we were there and you were there?
Yeah, it was another brother who was there with his mate. I think he was from Arizona. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
You hear from them anymore? You don't?
No, I don't. Y'all the only ones who I've heard from since I left.
I remember.
I know I had the two brothers. I think one name was Shelton, and the other one's name was
Ahmed.
I can't remember. I had the email, but I saw that they ended up moving in. Staying So I didn't even, I ain't even bother trying to reach out to him or anything like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, and he told me that both of them were getting married, and I remember, I don't know him apart, but the lighter one, he didn't want. He told me he didn't ever want to get married.
Wow.
So I'm like, he getting married now? He was like,
Wait, you talking about? You talking about?
Yeah, I met. Yeah, he said like, yeah, he told me he didn't really want to get married either, but it's part of the process of living there. Like, you can't live there and not get married. Yeah. But basically, he felt like he was still young and wasn't ready to get married yet. So I'm like, so he just gonna get married, like,
wow,
in order to stay there? Like, he already live in Belize though. Like, he can create his own thing if he want. Like, why stay there?
It's a whole process.
So,
it's a whole process here.
So,
yeah, I do. I'm very clear. It's a whole breaking process. It's a whole thing that plays on your, just basically your insecurities. And everybody's insecurities are played on. Again, this man is not the average dude. First of all, he doesn't have a conscience. That's number one. And how do you really deal with somebody that doesn't have a conscience? Number two, this is something he's been doing for a long time. I believe one time he said he was a behavior modification specialist. And that used to work for the military. So this is somebody that studies psychology, you know what I'm saying? Also, somebody in their 20s is not the same as somebody in their 40s. You know what I'm saying? You have a frame of reference. You know what I'm saying? And I think to a certain degree, these brothers had some good intentions and they just got, manipulated.
Yeah.
You know?
Because Brother Shelton, from what Floyd said, he was pretty connected down there. He knew a lot of people. He had a lot of impact. And I think he was, a pretty good basketball player as well. So I guess they kind of, piggybacked off of that to get a lot of people to come in, like you said, through basketball. Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I know he definitely does his research. And maybe that's why, they never reached out to me anymore, because I didn't have that whatever it is that'll bring somebody else in.
Right.
Or how to come down there and mate with one of his daughters or one of the women that was in the village, because he got big social media following, and you could track his money to see how much money he was making, because he knew that, like I said, he had that contract with the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Wow.
So yeah, like, definitely he was researching him. It's kind of like, I don't know if y'all seen that movie, probably not, but that movie Get Out, how that woman, she would go on and look and see who she was going to go after next.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't see it. She saw it.
It was good. It was kind of like Get Out,
Yeah, so he probably knew exactly who his targets was.
Right.
For somebody like me, if I come in and just play the game cool, I'll be another person at it, as far as, being able to do certain things. But like I said, I don't have a big social media following. I don't have a trackable income to where you can see exactly how much I make or how much I'm worth or anything like that.
Right.
So I wasn't a prized possession as somebody like Floyd.
Well, at the same time though, you also had youth, and he also has to mate all his youth. You know what I'm saying? So the flip side of that, this man is strategic. So even if you didn't have that, your asset would be, number one, if you can get loyalty out of you. Number two, if you had children that could be mateable from a different bloodline that can mate in. Number three, you also have a skill set in terms of food. You know what I'm saying? So actually, that's equity.
Right.
That's very, very, and also if you had a mate who could potentially come in, or if you were willing to leave your mate, that's equity.
Yeah, because remember, that's what he was telling me to do.
Wow.
Basically, if she wasn't ready to get in the line with me, that I should just leave her.
Damn. Wow.
You know what? Just big ups to you, Zach. Because I remember distinctly, you was like, "Nah, I'm gonna go work some my mate, my child's fault." You was like my children's mother.
Wow.
You didn't say my baby mama. You said my children's mother, and you said it with respect. Let me tell you, that's what I'm always like, yo. Character, when you're consistent with character, sometimes it's your only protection. Your only protection is just with the wisdom of maturity. You know what I'm saying? Because you didn't come up in there flexing. You wasn't a braggart. It's just like humility. And that's why I tell myself, humility will save you. It will save you a lot. Even though you may think other people's getting away with something, it winds up being your protection.
Yeah. It
winds up being your protection. Just that thing within you to do the right thing. But also, it can also be used against you.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Whew. Wow, that's really interesting. So other than Brother Kamu, that was the main, liaison that was like, that they had assigned to you in terms of your stay there? And did you stay in a little
Yeah,
house?
that's who picked me up.
Did you
That's
stay
who
in a
picked
little?
me up from the airport.
Where did you sleep when you was there?
Me, Kepra, Shelton, and Ahmed all slept in that first when you come in.
It's called the
that
Brotherhood
first-
Quarters, right? That little house.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. That's where we all slept in the same building.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm familiar with the house.
Yeah, but like I said, it was pretty much no exploring around. It was all I went from was from there
To get your
to
food.
the hut where we had dinner at, and then back.
Mhm. Sometimes they brought your food to you.
I think the first night they brought my food to me, but every other time I think I always came down and ate with everybody else.
Mhm.
Yeah, that pretty much became my the thing that I look forward to. Once I heard those drums, it usually meant that it was time to eat. So other than that, besides, I think we went out. We all got together and went to somebody's village where they played drums for somebody, and then they gave us watermelons.
Oh, that's right. It was a neighboring village. It was a neighboring village that we went, and that was like the one excursion we did before we broke out.
Right. Yeah.
That's right, and we were told that's probably the most we got to speak to you was that day. And they did a little dance in that little kind of almost like that little island or whatever that was over there, and there was some beautiful trees over there. Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the only thing that I went out and did. Like, I would have thought that we would have went out, like, maybe grab mangoes off the tree, papaya. I mean, anything that was different than what I was doing here.
Well, you know what, people, this is what I'm saying. So, I don't know if you saw the video he put out in response to us. Was like, he took some letters, and it's sound bites. He took clips of, by the time I had assimilated to the language and saying, I don't like it out here. Something I said, I want to kick or punch something. I was like made it look like I was threatening or I was violent. I was like, wow, it was so orchestrated. After a while, I was like, you know what? I just sat with it. I was like, because he's painting a picture, and I'm like, just paint a picture, because I know it's sound bites. He didn't put the picture of him asking me what was in Sister Masani's bank account. How much does she have in her bank account? It was just so heartbreaking, to put that much trust into somebody. So it's like, it's some serious life lesson. But, my thing is like, if no one speaks up, I'm not looking to be a martyr, but if nobody speaks up, that's how it continues. Because I'm like, with the amount of people, there have been other mates that have come and gone through, the people that have come and gone, and I'm like, how come nobody speaked up? But I was like, if they're feeling the way up here, you know what I'm saying? It would make sense why they're not speaking, or you just don't know about them, or they haven't spoken up. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, It's really messing with people's minds. That's what I think is so messed up. And he used these people to get access to their families, any kind of resources, and to other people. I just think it's wrong. It's just wrong.
And then afterwards, after my experience there,
see, from what I said, okay, that's fine. But my thing is like, if I really sit back and think about it, I'm like, yo, I think it's pretty messed up. If you know somebody, to me, it was like, what would be your motivation to not say something if you think something is foul? What would be your motivation to not say something? Because it's just with the amount of folks I've seen coming and going and doing stuff down here, folks would say, they're not down and they had to get out of there because they did this and that to their family, and then the next minute say, but I still got love for them. I'm thinking like, nah, that don't add up to me. If somebody did all this stuff and traumatized you or scammed you, what kind of spirit, as a man, who would be saying I got love for them? That don't make no sense to me. Call me simple. That don't make no sense to me. That makes no sense to me. So it makes me question. That's what I'm saying. It makes me question people's motivations. You know what I'm saying? And I hate to say it, but it appears that folks are covering it up, or they don't want the microscope turned on them, which is why they're not saying.
And that's what I was gonna say. I would say probably because at the end of the day, the ones who are not saying something, that means they're probably doing something either similar, or like you said, they don't want anybody to expose anything that they have done. Because even though I've had good experience with a Reese, I know everybody hasn't. Some people have complained the way that they've been treated by him as well. I just didn't experience any of that, so I couldn't say, like, yeah, he did this or he did that to me. I don't know. I didn't have that type of experience, but I have seen other people on the internet say certain things.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So it puts.
So yeah, I mean, and that's the sad thing. I've heard that about any of the prominent people or anybody that you hear a lot of people talking about. It's always a story, and that's the sad thing about it. Like, we can't never get together and do what we supposed to do. It's always somebody got to try to take advantage of somebody or misuse somebody, and that was like, out of everything that I experienced there, the one thing I can say is that they tried to make certain people seem like they wasn't valuable, and to me, everybody is valuable.
Yep. Yo, you just saying, so it's the simplicity of what you're saying, just the simple truth. No big story. Just simple. And I'm just saying, when you're not looking for validation or you don't have nothing to lose or nothing to win, then you could just tell your simple truth. You know what I'm saying? And I think people are so, it's not wrong, but people's simple desire to want a community or this vision that they have will make you overlook so much stuff until you're in too deep.
Yeah.
So, because you're going to continue, if something's you're going to continue on your path anyway. But also, you can't take for granted, like you said, it can really, it deeply affects people. He's messing with people's minds. That's what.
Yeah, like I said, if a person wasn't strong enough, I could easily see someone killing themselves there. For the amount of, and the fact that you don't have any contact with anybody outside of there.
Yeah.
And especially if your money low and that was the last dime that you came in with, or if you only had enough money to get there, to pay your way there, and to only keep, let's just say it's someone who went down there to stay for a month, and they couldn't afford to change their flight. They had to stay down there the whole month and endure that for a whole month. And like I said, at least at the end of the day, I was there with your son, your son, Ahmed, and Shelton during the time, and they were new, so it wasn't like they were deeply involved. Once I met them, I think that was the first time Shelton had been there, and he was only there a couple days before I arrived. So the experience was new to him as well. But for somebody who went down there on their own and didn't have anybody else to reach out to, and they can't call back home or reach out and ask for money to send to leave early, and it's in the middle of nowhere. Like, I wouldn't have knew how to get back out of there and to get to the airport. So to have to sit there and take that for a month, 2 months, or
imagine
however long,
3 years,
they chose
3 years. Sometimes I'll be like almost like on the verge of tears. It was like watching abuse, like mental abuse, and then just the favoritism played amongst, his family and other people, and a lot of times you want to idealize it and overlook it, and not even overlook it. I would ask questions like, okay, how does this work? And there will always be some runaround or deflection. Not even runaround, it was deflection. There was one thing I can say was no accountability, zero accountability for anything that you had a question with his. And I was like, wow. I was like, this can't work. We sat there long enough to give it a chance because we wanted community and we wanted, sisterhood and grow food. But I was like, nah, I'm not going to trade off a white version of something for a black version. Nah.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, and I know like I would ask them questions like, what type of juice is this? And they just like, it's just juice. Like, they don't even.
Well, that became the thing. You're giving me. I wasn't brand new to herbs. I might not know some of the local plants, but one time you gave us some, I was like, yo, This is golden seal. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't new. I used to, I had a elder that I worked at a holistic health center for several years. I tasted living foods in 1994. Was my first time. Maurice was my first living foods that I tasted. You know what I'm saying? My son's dad is into Chinese herbs and acupuncture and stuff like. This is like going almost 30 years. So, but it was really like a trust in this person. But I even had said one point, I trust him to a point. I had said to him, because his queen mother, Kwahima Muna Robinson, said, you're just supposed to trust the high priest. I said, I trust him to a point. Any other trust has to be earned. I was very clear. So I think my clarity is what was made into be a problem. And then I was told I wasn't feminine. I wasn't being feminine. I should be trying to woo him. Joseph Robinson, a.k.a. High Priest Kwatamani, said I should be trying to woo him. was like, what? And when I was through something like, what? I was like, yo, I said, you sound like a pimp. He said, nothing. I should be trying to woo him. I was like, nah. And several times I felt like he was trying to like orchestrate something for me to be with somebody. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, listen, as sisters, at this point, I don't hate nobody. I don't hate men. But at this point, I just like, yo, I want to focus on just my healing. You know what I'm saying? If that's gonna come, it's gonna come. But I just felt manipulations happen. I was like, yo, you're not going to match. I'm not jolting them. You just going to match me up with somebody. To be quite honest, it's not a lot to choose from. And I don't see nobody in here. And it's just not my priority right now. I came to get situated, see how we're going to be living, what's going to be the land situation, you know. But, and I had very clear conversations. I said, you see that brother right there with that? Don't try to hook me up with nobody in here. I want to be very clear. Oh, they said, you don't need to worry about that right now. I said, I just want to make sure that we're very clear. That you ain't trying to run it. And then it's just different stuff. Like once him telling me his Oshani, different people I found that had tried to leave. One of his mates tried to leave back in the day. One tried to leave, then another one, he said, go ahead and tell her, like a reverse psychology, how many times you wanted to leave. You know, this is his main Oshani with the glasses that speak for him. She said, more times than I care to remember. This would be in private sessions. So if you're telling me all this, right, and then I'm seeing this young one, I remember I was thinking like, okay, is that his mate or who is that? You know, my thing is just like, I need to at least have I don't need to know everything, but I need to have a basic knowledge of what's going on around here because you're going to assess. So I was just asking, okay, how does that work? I wanted to know how that works because I would think, okay, if everybody going to be mated, you could be her grandfather. You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't you want to be mating up your sons who are in their 20s? Wouldn't that make sense? So I just wanted to understand what's the philosophy behind that. Just
so none of his sons ever got married?
No, I'm sure he's scouting for one for now. They're looking, you know. But
so how come he made it Shelton and Ahmed before his sons?
Critical thinking, brother. You can answer that thing. Why would he made them to his daughters? Why would he made him to his daughters? Then what? First of all,
now.
Wait, so wouldn't it be attractive to you? You have this vision you have a vision of, you know, a vegan, live food virgin. That ain't gonna give you no problems. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, he's gone so far, Joseph Robinson has gone so far as to say that. You know, basically they're not gonna argue back with you. None of that. You know what I'm saying? But that's all, and I know this sounds horrible. It's like a pimp with his own children. Because he runs everything through the sisterhood. The sisterhood runs his daughters. You know what I'm saying? So basically, they're going to be controlled through his mates. And once they're married and they have children, then they're going to be in too deep. If they have any land, which is how they work it here, any of their resources are going to go in there. And it gives him credibility to the young Belizean men so he can get more mates and get more resources in there. It's quite brilliant. Think about it. Think about it. Any land, any resources is going to go right in there.
Yeah.
Then he'll have mates for his daughters because he's not, you know. Think about it. And it gives him the credibility. If you got a basketball store, you got 4 sisters with double degrees up in there. You got these numerous live food chefs with all these talents. This gives him tremendous credibility. He don't have the credibility on his own. Without those mates, without those children, he has no credibility. And he don't have no credibility here in Belize. He needs them. He needs the Belizean to give him credibility. So if everybody sits up in groupthink and doesn't ask the pertinent questions, well, how do all of those people get there? And you can't cross-reference them, guess what? Just like groupthink. That's people do with pastors and stuff all the time. They don't ask the right questions because they want so badly a savior. So he calls himself now the Earth Solar Messiah. He calls himself the soothsayer, the spiritual healer. What is him? Soul seer, spiritual healer, something else. So I'm thinking like, okay, to me, when I'm thinking Messiah, I'm like, yo, any brother could be a Messiah with a certain consciousness, but that's not his context. You understand? And somebody even saying, I was like, nah, he's not really no savior. He's okay. Certain information may be filtered through you, but anybody can be a so-called Messiah, depending on your actions and how you're moving. But I learned that my context wasn't his context, and he controls the context there. He controls the context straight up and down. So if you got another context, your context, he's going to tell you has to fit in with the group. He even told me one time, now, mind you, I've been a personal trainer. I went to culinary school, introduced to living foods, you know, not that I know everything, but I got a background. Personal trainer for well over a decade, maybe going to a decade and a half, going into 2 decades, right? So we're doing exercise. Now, mind you, I had some wealthy clients. I do a lot of corrective exercise because a lot of my clients didn't care about being a model. They just don't want to be in pain. Okay. So we're doing certain exercises, and he was doing some old school exercises, or the sisters that were like contraindicated, like old school sit-ups, which can hurt your back. And then they wouldn't do a warm-up. So I wanted to do a warm-up because if I don't do a warm-up, you know what I'm saying, you could jack your stuff. Plus, we had never been that inactive before. We were basically sometimes sitting in that little room in our quarters, feel like we were rotting away, not doing anything. You know what I'm saying? I never had back problems until I went there because I was too inactive. In the States, I'm on my bike. You know, I'm exercising. You know, I became inactive there, just sitting in that room in one position. So I said, excuse me, and I know my sister was feeling some stuff in her shoulder because we didn't do any warm-ups. We was stiff. So I said, excuse me, are we going to do a warm-up? And usually it was a sisterhood, but because he's the Kwahini or the whatever, he could come in when the sisterhood are there doing an exercise for 15 minutes a day. So he comes in here, and I said, can we do a warm-up? And so the Kwahima, who's in charge of everything, she said, well, I don't know. I think out in the world, I think they do warm-up. So she looks back to him. And then he stands up to do some old school exercise. I guess he remembers from the military or whatever, breaking down some stuff. And I said, and then they said, well, I know, with Sister Man.This. I said, no, Sister Kwasa, I know exactly what I'm saying, that I'm not going to put my back in jeopardy. Now, I know I don't know everything. You might have another way of doing the exercise. But they're questioning me. I'm just saying I need a warm-up, and I'm not going to do that particular exercise because it's going to pull on my hip flexors. Because if you're doing old school sit-ups, it's pulling on your back and your hip. This is my profession. You know what I'm saying? Then he says, well, one thing I know about Sister Kwasa is she'll go with the group. Eventually she'll go along with the group. And speak for me. So I was very clear. I was clear on what I was saying. So I noticed different patterns. I noticed the patterns when he would ask questions, and he would say, everybody speaks and everybody's allowed to speak here. But he would answer for everybody, or everybody would sit there and he would ask a question. Everybody would act like they had peanut butter in their mouth and no one would say anything. And so many times I was ready to blurt something, and I was like, something is not right here. Something is not right. And then it was too cryptic and too secretive. And I said to them clearly, several times, I'm distinct. I said, excuse me, Priestess Gail Wells, Kwananamu, the different names she went by. I said, listen, I don't know everything. I'm not comfortable with this. I'm not understanding this. Can y'all have some classes for us or whatever? Maybe we're not understanding stuff like you said. But I'm not understanding it. So I said, this is my life here. I said, this is not a game to me. So I have questions that need to be answered. She said, I'll express that to the high priest. And then they would not get back to us. That went on for weeks to months. Sometimes when it came to having a meeting around money or immigration, one time we went to have a meeting which we were asking for weeks and weeks and weeks, because I was like, oh, wow, I was like, okay, all of our money is bleeding out at the same time that we're being made to sit here. So I said, okay, after all, I was like, I see what's going on. This cat thinks he's going to bleed us because in order to go to the next level of family, you got to surrender your bank accounts. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, we don't bled out a lot of money, but I was like, I'm not giving up that last to the last, because that don't make no sense when you're not even answering questions about how stuff even work around here. How do you resolve conflict? What's up with the immigration? So if we decided to leave, I was like, we'd be in the same place because nothing really happened. You understand what I'm saying? So I wasn't comfortable with that. When I would ask questions, I relayed that to the high priest. Once we were supposed to have a meeting, I was like, okay, finally we're going to get this meeting. They come out and say, well, the high priest can't meet with you today because it's raining and he's in meditation. I was like, this is some bull crap. It just started getting more escalated. I was like, now this is just kind of like insulting. This is bull crap. He's in meditation. Nah, I was like, I'm done. I'm good. Then it started accelerating from there. Once I said to his Muna Robinson, because after a while, the Oshami, she's not to speak to us anymore. Now she's going to speak to us. She's going to deal with us directly. Right? My direct but respectful questions. I said, excuse me, Kwahim. I said, listen, can I speak to you? I was like, I'm not comfortable with the way that he speaks to people. To me, I said, where I come from, that sounds like verbal abuse. She said, oh, that's just the way he speaks, right? As I'm observing him speaking to his mates. I said, well, let me ask you a question. Is he ever wrong? She said, well, he paid his dues already. That was the answers. I was like, then another family that was there, we were watching how it was just real stuff like the Royal Hall that we contributed money to help build. Sometimes they would lock the Royal Hall and say, nobody can come into the Royal Hall right now. Everybody, we went down to the Royal Hall to, I guess, just to be okay, if this is the central meeting place, so we're not locked in our room, because that was dangled in front of us. If you the royal hall, now we can all meet and eat together. And now the sisterhood feels like you're going through enough. You can be with the sisterhood and the rest of them. We would get there and it was like, oh no, the high priest said nobody can't come into the royal hall. It was such extreme control. It was like it was just crazy. It was just getting crazy and crazy at an accelerated rate. And it seemed like the closer it came to like around that time, that it would go through like a year process. Because after they said the next 3 months you had to be there as a probationary period, and then a year. So my thing is that a year, that kind of coincides with if we're in a year and we don't go past 14 days of us being out, then we can file for residency and move on about our business if it doesn't work. But we actually wanted it to work. But however, we could not overlook the treatment. And quite honestly, how I watched my son being treated. Now, mind you, he said, oh, you can't raise a black man. That's okay. Let me just watch his process. And maybe I'm not aware of his process with working with a black man. But I know sometimes I would be like leaving it in tears how I watched him talk to my son and how I watched his sons play with my son's food and have him standing out. Like, to me, I felt like they did sensory deprivation and they kept you so isolated in order to break you and make you want to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
And
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, it's a breaking. I'm so clear. It's not even up for debate. I'm very clear on the process.
Because Floyd told me that he was supposed to. I guess they have levels in different colors that you wear upon graduating. Or
white, and then green and white, level. And then you get yellow, and then you get red, and if you made it, you get black, and blah blah blah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Floyd said Kepper was supposed to move up. And instead of moving up, they took him all the way back down to the very beginning. So basically, him and Floyd would be on the same level, even though Floyd had just got there. Mm-hmm. I think Floyd had to wear all white, I believe.
It was just when I even think about it, it's just so hard. It's just like, it's just too much. Because I'm saying, yo, listen. People may not understand. At this point, I'm not here to impress anybody. I did not save my money and bring my sister, who was not even on board, and my son, who I felt like I was running through a landmine with my son. I didn't bring my son near for no verbal abuse. I did not bring him near for that. That would be like me convince you to come over there for guidance from an elder, and then somebody runs some mental game. I didn't bring him near for that, to get from no black man. I didn't bring him near for that. That's heartbreaking. You hear me? Then he tried to say that we were materialistic about money. I'm like, no, it's not materialistic. It's like, yo, I value my life energy. It's not just about the money. But then again, you say it's not about money, but he just kept going digging for more and more and more.
Right, that was my question then. If it's not all about money, and it doesn't talk about money in any of the 3 books that I read, as far as basically from what I interpreted from the 3 books that I read, was basically your energy, your value as a person, whatever skill that you had was what it would take to come and be a part of that village.
Let me tell you something, brother. I'm going to be real with you at this point. I'm going to be real. Because, yo, certain stuff, you guys speaking of plain black English. If anybody come at me with any rhetoric, I'm just the wrong one to bring any kind of pseudo-culture rhetoric, because I'm just highly sensitive to rhetoric and people talking in circles. Not to say I'm beyond, I couldn't still get scammed or whatever. But when I hear certain language, you can't answer certain questions and stuff. I'm not interested in debating anybody. I'm very clear on my gut, what I experienced in there, and that's it. If people still want to, with the information that's there, still go up in there, that's on them. You know what I'm saying? But right. No elders. Even if we gave money for land, he went back and forth and said, well, it was leased. Even if we pay for a lease, why are we not on the land? Whether it's leased or owned, what's the difference? If we gave you money for land, why are we not on that land? See, people are so into he's good at editing videos, and just like any poverty pimp, when he manipulating your emotions, and people want to see this black utopia and black family, people don't have a clue of what they're getting into. You hear me? They don't have a clue. You don't know who's who, and you're not going to be allowed to ask certain questions. Period. They're not going to be answered directly. So I was like, that's good enough for me. If I got to go back in, wherever I got to go, I was like out there, I was like, I'm not going to die on my knees, but I'm also not going to do it here, groveling in front of a black version of the same energy, because that's what it came like to me. The manipulation is like, it turns my stomach. Then we're told we weren't able to adhere to the initiation process. Y'all wasn't clear. Totally, it's in the book. No, your book is cryptic. It's subject to interpretation. I'm crystal clear. So I'm clear. Some people gonna get this information and still go that way. That's on them. But right. In terms of, I did the responsible thing, because we put ourselves out there. If something happened, nobody's coming checking for us. 2 women here from Brooklyn that work for every penny. Nobody's coming checking for us. We're in another country. You know, the way the police system goes, all this stuff is different. This ain't the States. You'll find out when this ain't the States. You know what I'm saying? Even us to find about living, this is not the United States. And we are kind of skewed the way we look at things because we don't have a frame of reference for being in another country. So we have a tendency to take a lot of things for granted.
Yeah, and that's the reason why, like I said, I just didn't jump out there and just do something. First, I looked for, like, I reached out to all my family. Do we have any family who's left here, went anywhere, or do we have any cousins, any distance, anything like where I can go and see for myself, and or just get a reference. And then then I went the route of connecting with the people who supposed to be brothers and sisters who I met through different trials and tribulations through life, or different lectures and stuff. And it always lead back to the same thing, that it's always somebody at the end trying to manipulate somebody, or take somebody money, or scam somebody. And that's just, like I said,
unfortunate, but it
heartbreaking. Especially when somebody has invested their whole life, or saved their whole life to get nothing at the end. You like you said, you better off staying where you at, because it's gonna be.
We went to the embassy. I went to the U.S. embassy.
Somewhere else and think you're getting something different and get the same thing.
We went to the U.S. Embassy. The U.S. Embassy referred us to a lawyer. A lawyer referred us to the U.S. Embassy. And I had to sit there and it just really hit me. I said, wait a minute. So I don't have no recourse. I'm like, I'm a black woman that I feel like, I really went giving money so y'all can have internet. Actually, I don't think you were there. It was a time when his mate, that same old Shami, was in an accident. And they arrested her, and she was in jail. I immediately went to the bank and took out my rent money and gave it to them as a contribution. He said, we're going to need some funds. And that's how I came. Can you imagine how I feel? I assisted another family in getting here. I mean, to get financially, me and then my sister right there, where people can say whatever they want to say. So when somebody want to talk some rhetoric, or you hate men, we made silk screen shirts by hand for the whole basketball team. We bought the whole community sneakers. We did fundraisers. Just this. Me and my son was selling the books, at a profit, and took not a dime. Not a dime. Not a dime. You know what I'm saying? So, the crazy thing that's also become clear is that some people are treating the raw foods and treating the conscious community like a religion, like a cult. So for people to lash at us, they're vouching for somebody they don't even know because of the vision they want to hold in their head that we live there.
And it makes it that much harder for the people who are trying to do something good, because you're gonna be swept up with everybody else, like Reese and Kwatamani and y'all all the same, or whoever it is that's out there doing whatever it is doing. If you have the same anything in common with that person, you're gonna be looped in the same group. Like, they all scam, or they all they all trying to grab your money and whatever it is that's going on. Yeah, and anybody who's been there, and like I said, I was only there, I think, at the longest 6 days. I think it was closer to 5. I think I was supposed to stay 6. But anybody who's been there, even for that amount of time, if they saw your video, they know that you're not lying and that you're telling the absolute truth. Even me, like I said, for only being there 5 days and not even experiencing probably half of what y'all experienced, I knew that you was telling the truth, because I knew from the short time that I was there and what I experienced. I'm pretty sure he came back and was able to say the exact same thing I said. The same people who treated him the way that I was, the same people that treated him the way that he was treated me the exact same way. They said he had the mark of the beast on him. Basically, everything that they could do was to tear him down and make him feel bad.
Wow. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So, me and really falling in line with this whole thing, because I would have to put tape on it, and I was like really hot outside with tape. So when I went into the city, like, it was a couple times I went back to the States to get a birth certificate or some paperwork and came right back. So I went to a tattoo removal place, and then it was a little kepra on there, because they said, I can't be around the children, and they wound up keloiding while I was out there. Because they said, well, you should have told us, because we could have had some herbal something to remove it. And I'm thinking, like, then another time as we're walking, I see one of his mates had a tattoo. She usually kept it covered on her back. And I was like, wow. It was just, Can you?
So
So
many
now
double
I have
standards.
this. This is a reminder. This is a scar now that I'll carry forever. This big thing on my back that I'll carry forever. You know, that's what I'm saying. People, you can't. I don't hate those people. I really don't. I don't wish bad on anybody's children. But what's been is foul. That's all. It's foul. It's just foul. It's foul and it's not right. It's like you knowing somebody's scamming or molesting and you don't say nothing. You know what I'm saying? You see other. It's just. I can't even really go there where I used to go with that because it's so painful. I'm not stupid. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a stupid person. I'm not going to be made to feel like a villain for. I was like, yo, I'm been sitting here like armchair rhetoric. I didn't send my son somewhere that I didn't go. I didn't have my son eating something I wasn't eating the food 100%. You know,
and I know that y'all was vested, because I know what Kepper was telling me. He was like, nah, maybe if you leave your family and come there, then maybe they'll believe it and they'll come too. I'm like, nah, I ain't doing that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, so everybody that's there, you become a zealot to a certain extent after a while. Yeah. But the zeal is because of what you want to be so bad. But here's the catch, the distinction I can make, you're not cross-referencing the person. You know, the person, the con, is telling you about the con. He's telling you to watch out for other cons.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He's telling you to watch out for N-boy when he's the N-boy, senior.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. It's just, to me, we just wanted some justice at this point. It's like, yo, we just starting over. We're not expecting to get a penny back. But on GP, I was like, yo, folks should know. Folks should know. There should be a consequence. And if not, we can't spend, because we still got to live now. You know what I'm saying? We still have to live. Right. Rent always got to get paid on the first, or your mortgage, or whatever your payments is, regardless of what you're going through. You know what I'm saying? So it's too stressful to do, and I don't have the desire to focus on that, but something has to be done. So we've done as much as we could do, maybe a little more explain, but for the most part, once that information is out there, I just felt the way that no elders came to check on us. Nobody even did a thorough investigation. Where's the council of elders to look at all the proof? Not look at my side or his side. Where's the council of elders to even investigate? Why no elders? That's supposed to be about community that there was land given to, money given to. Why it didn't come? No, why nobody cross-referenced and checked us and spoke to us? So it's become very clear there's no accountability in our community. That says a lot. Where are we going? There's no accountability in our community. You know, and I'm being honest with you. I don't respect it. It's just real. I don't have no fairy tale. That's real. So that's a reality. That busts open any kind of romantic fantasies. There's no accountability. So if you don't have people that's so narcissistic that they can't see that they can make an error and they could, open to communication and feedback. You're not even open to any kind of feedback. I was told I don't have the right to comment on nothing. I'm not experienced to comment on something like food. It's just, I can never say in just a one conversation. So I really appreciate you coming forward and being honest, because it's like, yo, is there any menfolk or any folk? Where's all the folks that came in with? Where are they? But I said something's up. So it's not like I'm going to perm my hair and eat some fried chicken tomorrow. That's not gonna happen.
Right.
That's not gonna happen. I'm gonna keep moving. But it's just foul. It's just foul. And it's like, and I'm just very clear, many of our people, we're addicted to looking for a savior. We won't clean up our vices. We won't acknowledge the dysfunction that's in our own community.
Yep.
So where we going from there? You know what I'm saying? So that might be just on an individual basis at this point. I'm just kind of just constant acceptance of whoever those people that show up organically, where we can vet each other. You know what I'm saying? When we can vet each other, then the community will develop organically, to me, and honorably. I'm okay with that at this point. That's what life wisdom has showed me. Whoever that's going to be, however it shows up and it's organic, we can vet each other. We can set some healthy boundaries. That's what it's going to be. That's what I see as the best case scenario at this point.
Yeah, all the bad experiences that I had within this community didn't change my ways of thinking as far as my diet and consumption.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's positive. Because if you're going to do something, you're going to do it. You know what I'm saying?
I've had that experience of what it's like when I've been put I've had mutual friends that tried to put me with other people who were doing certain things, and I get there and see within this type of lifestyle. And that's, like I said, that's disheartening, where you have people out there that, like, this might be their final hope, that they don't have anything else to go back on, or this might been what they thought was going, for lack of words, this is what they thought was going to be their savior, instead of believing that they can save themselves. So they put all their chips into believing in somebody else or what somebody else tell them, to where that person don't check out the way that they thought. And it's just, downhill from there.
Yep.
The one thing about me is that, like I said, I had been around a whole lot of different people. I had, traveled other places before I actually went to Belize. So, I had a little bit of experience. Like you said, I don't know everything. I haven't seen everything, but I just knew something within me didn't feel right once I got there. I mean, I couldn't make it. No matter what I did, I couldn't make it feel right. I mean, maybe it was just the fact that my mate and my children were.
I just felt like it's just so heart-wrenching. You know what I'm saying? It's just so heart-wrenching. And what's really heart-wrenching is, like, I gotta say, I see it with some sisters online, with some other camps with the cults, but to really feel attacked from, like, brothers. Like, yo, somebody sent me something like, yo, you need to mind send me a can of mind your effing business and leave good people alone. I'm thinking, like, wow, I lived there. I'm like wow, but it really made me think, like, yo, our people are out to lunch. Like, it's not like a psychosis with this one and this savior so bad. I get it. I really do get it. But at the same time, I'm like, yo, some people are so hooked into a religion, like, they could actually hurt you. You know what I'm saying? So twisted. So that's why, what I'm saying, we have to pace ourselves, because it's like, again, like, yo, if I hated men, I wouldn't have been up in there to a certain degree supporting him and his family and helping another family with the mate. There's no way that I wouldn't be moving like I got fire underneath my butt to save a young male if I hated men. You know what I'm saying? This is not about hating men. What I dislike is being scammed. That's what I dislike. If that's male or female. Right. I felt broken by the sister. I can say I understand. I put it in perspective, but it was extremely painful. Extremely painful. And then to have to feel unsafe in my community. It's like so many harsh lessons I've had to, in the quiet here, that I've had to reckon with. Is like, yo, people talking all this conscious stuff, have you looking at white supremacy, but I'm like, yo, between scamming, physical abuse, and molestation, that's happening in our community. You know what I'm saying? Am I supposed to accept that because it's black? It's like, I don't even. Yeah, the
same reason why when they talk about about all the police officers killing black men, and then and if somebody if a black person say something about black people killing black people, like, well, we killing each other too. If we stop killing each other and stand up and let them know that we value ourselves, then maybe they'll stop, or maybe they won't. Maybe they won't have the same, or it won't be accepted. But if we accept killing each other as an everyday part of life, and if my next door neighbor gets shot that I don't say nothing and I see who did it, then what is that saying?
Yeah, I'm gonna be real with you. This whole situation, it just really made, again, just like I can say heartbreak on top of heartbreak. Like, I'm moving into another perspective, but if I'm just real, I feel like heartbreaking and feel like, yo, I was like, sometimes I have to marvel, like, yo, how am I feeling? Like, how is somebody attacking me? I'm the sister that gave thousands of dollars. That's doing community service at the African Street Festival with my son, serving free plates of food or for a low price, some donation. And you know what I'm saying? Like, how am I feeling like I'm not safe or protected? It's a horrible feeling. You know what I'm saying? It's so heartbreaking. It's on so many different levels. But it has really removed any kind of fantasy that I could have about building community. It is like ripped it. I guess it needed to be ripped. But it has ripped any ideas of fantasy about, you know what I'm saying? I just don't have the fantasies. Because I just don't. It just it squashed it. And obviously it needed to be squashed because we're walking around delusional. Because somebody says some word, even with each other, we have such stuff going on, you need to vet each other. We need to be discerning and have healthy boundaries with each other. We need to have receipts and contracts with each other from where we're coming from, and clear agreements and exit agreements.
And anybody who's doing the right thing, why would they have a problem giving you that? I mean, and they gonna try to say, like, well, if we're not supposed to operate under that anymore because we're different now. But
no, we're not.
If you're doing the right thing, what difference does it make? Cover yourself on both sides.
Right. So when somebody's telling me something that don't add up and it ain't feeling right, and I can't have no clear agreements and no transparency, we're not even gonna get that far, because it's just made me It's made me take a step back. I don't even feel comfortable. I don't even feel comfortable hugging folks that's because they're black. I don't feel comfortable. I don't. And it's like, it's really something sometimes I have to take a stand, like, no, I'm not letting you in my personal space like that. And people get offended. But it's like, really, it's like also conditioning as a woman that we're supposed to say yes to everyone. It's like you in the elevator and you feel uncomfortable. You don't want to say nothing because you don't want to be rude. Like, it's occurred to me, that'll get me killed, not wanting to be rude, or an elder's doing something, I'm not going to speak up because it's an elder. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of dysfunction happening at the hands of elders. So I think part of I don't see healing coming without an acknowledgement. I'm not going to go out and have a public lynching, but just at the level, if there can't be any acknowledgement, I don't see any healing coming without an acknowledgement and the process and the feeling. It's like people telling me, oh, you're not spiritual because I'm angry. I'm like, yo, it occurred to me. I was like, that's a pattern. If somebody's raping you, scamming you, that's a natural emotion. I was like, yo, anger gets a bad rap. It gets a bad rap. You know, it's an emotion. It's a natural response. And so anytime now somebody's telling me that to question my natural response, red flag. Yeah, so I mean, that's what it's at, brother Will. That's what it is. It's just some lessons, and maybe I don't think I'm better at all. I don't think I'm smarter. I really don't. I don't. But what I experience is not up for debate. I'm not asking for permission. I'm not asking for validation. We just left the trail should somebody want to do their research, because that's what I would have appreciated if it was there. And I think a lot of times not elders or adults, we are very vague. We get into very energy we get into a lot of vague language, and it doesn't help young people make very clear distinctions. Now, I saw this cat doing this, and that. That didn't add up. I don't know everything, but that don't add up. We're being too vague and too new agey with the language, and I think it leaves people unclear.
Yeah, I agree.